Hi everybody. This video discusses point of view. Point of view refers to who tells a story and how it is told. Most fictional works are told from either a first-person point of view or a third-person point of view. In a story told from a first-person point of view, the narrator is a participant within the story. This means that the narrator is usually a major character or a minor character. And in this kind of narrative, the reader is limited to the perceptions, thoughts, and feelings of a single character. So as a reader, you really only know what's going on in the mind of one character, and you're viewing everything else through the eyes of that one character. In a story told from a third-person point of view, the narrator is told from the perspective outside the story. So unlike the first person where it's within the story, in a third-person narrative, the narrator is someone sort of outside of the story. Sometimes teachers talk about this as being from sort of like a God's eye point of view or a bird's eye point of view, as someone sort of above the story looking sort of down on everything. There are a couple different kinds of third-person narrators, however. An omniscient narrator knows everything pertinent to the story. This kind of narrator may slip from place to place, may know what's going on in the past, may even know what's going to happen in the future, and can usually slip in and out of characters' minds. So can report what multiple characters are thinking or feeling. A limited omniscient narrator is more confined than an omniscient narrator, hence the word limited. This type of narrator is still outside the story and still probably has access to information that other characters don't know. However, this kind of narrator usually confines themselves to the mind and the experiences of one or maybe two characters. So instead of reporting what everybody thinks and what everybody's feeling, or what a lot of different characters are thinking and feeling, this kind of narrator usually focuses on just the experiences of one kind of character, or one character, I mean. So a couple examples of this from stories that we've already read. Sunny's Blues, which we read last week, is told from a first-person point of view. The narrator is a participant within the story, so the narrator is a character in the story who interacts with other characters, and as readers, we're limited to his memories and his descriptions of events, and we view everybody, including Sunny, through the narrator's eyes. So we don't really have access to anybody else's perspective. We're reviewing that world and reviewing those events and those characters through that one narrator's eyes, through that one character's eyes. The Open Boat, which we also read last week, is a little bit different. So this story is told from a third-person limited point of view, or sometimes also called a third-person limited omniscient point of view. The narrator is not a participant in the story, for example, the narrator has access to information that the other characters don't know. So the narrator knows, for example, in the beginning, that the boat's only about 2 miles away from shore. And the narrator clearly isn't he isn't in the boat. He's not a character who's interacting with other people. However, even though he's not someone who's in the boat interacting with other characters, he only reveals the inner thoughts and memories really of one character, the correspondent. So he's a third person, he's sort of above everything, looking down on the men in the boat and telling us what's happening, but he's only revealing the experiences and the thoughts and the memories and in some ways the perspective of one of those 4 men in the boat. So as you're reading the stories for this week, in addition to thinking about all the other things that we've been thinking about in this class, I also want you to pay attention to point of view. So the first question to ask is, who is narrating the story? Is it a character within the story, in which case it's a first-person narrative, or is it the story being told from a perspective of someone outside the story, someone who isn't a character or who isn't interacting with actual characters? And if so, then this is a third-person narrative. And then after you've sort of deciphered that, You should ask yourself how the narrative point of view shapes the information you have access to as a reader. So, for example, do you only have access to one character's thoughts and feelings? And if so, and how is that? How do you get access to that? Is someone reporting it? Is it sort of revealed to you through a first-person narration? And then, if the story is a first-person narrative, if, in other words, if the story is being told from the point of view of one of the characters within the story, what does the narrative perspective reveal about the narrator's personality and motivations? If you think back to Sonny's Blues, we can understand a lot about the narrator and the narrator's perspective on the world by paying attention to how he describes people, how he describes events, and what kind of information he focuses on. So that narrative perspective gets linked with characterization when a story is being told from a first-person point of view. So these are some of the questions I want you to be considering, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say about them.